Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's masterclass, the financial dignity formula. You are going to discover how to master your money and become a financial success. I think that's something that we all want. This masterclass is for motivated six-figure couples and single or divorcing women. So I just want to be completely transparent. Most of the couples and women that I work with one-on-one are high income earners. So income is not necessarily the issue. It is, what are we doing with that income? If you are not a six-figure income earner, are you still going to learn something from this? Absolutely. But I just wanted to be transparent. This masterclass is not for the individuals who are struggling month to month by any means. So today you're going to discover why traditional budgets don't typically work for the long term. You're also going to discover the key ingredient that most financial professionals miss out on. And of course, as promised, the formula for achieving financial dignity. My promise to you is that you're going to see this proprietary process to create your own plan, to reduce debt, increase savings, and direct cash flow to what is really important to you and your family. And most importantly, achieve this without judgment or deprivation. Does that sound good to everybody? I hope so. Does this sound like you? From the outside, people would say that you are a success. Your household income, it's multiple six figures, 200 to 500 grand a year. You probably live in a great neighborhood. Spending money on things like self-care and travel for you and your family, it's a priority. And if you have kids, they're probably in select sports or go to private schools. But despite appearances, you feel like you're treading water financially. You probably thought in the past, if I ever made this much money, life would be so amazing. Like I would never have to worry about money again. And yet, you still worry about money, despite making multiple six figures. You've got more debt and less savings than you'd like. And honestly, you're not sure what's wrong or what to do about it, right? It's not like you're out there gambling away $5,000 a month at the casino, right? You're just out there living life. And yet it seems like, despite the fact that your income keeps growing, there's still not a lot left at the end of the month. And that doesn't feel good. The real problem is not knowing the financial dignity formula. Once you learn this and apply it, you're going to feel energized, confident, and fulfilled. You're going to see the debt decrease, those bank balances grow, and stress melt away. How do I know? Because I have lived this. I'm a certified financial counselor and divorce specialist, and I'm also a business accountant. So if you and I have not met, I'm Christine Lucan. I am the financial dignity coach. I have over 14 years of experience creating personalized plans for clients just like you. I am the author of 3 books, including Money is Emotional, Prevent Your Heart from Hijacking Your Wallet. But most importantly, I have gone through this process myself. I am not perfect. I know what it feels like to be financially stressed. I hit rock bottom with my finances in my 20s, despite having an accounting degree. So I found myself at age 26 in debt, my credit completely ruined, behind on all of my bills, and yet I was working as an accountant. And I had spent most of my working life in personal finance in some way. I worked for banks, I worked for credit card companies, I worked internally doing business accounting. I had all of the head knowledge, and yet I was not doing it. And there are a variety of factors that affected that. But my point with this is that there are a lot of very smart people earning a lot of money that aren't seeing the results that they want to financially. Now, certainly hope you're not in a situation like I was in, where you're dodging collector calls or, parking your vehicle a half a mile away from where you live so it doesn't get towed. You're probably not in that situation. However, you're still feeling that stress around money, but you might also be feeling a little bit ashamed that you're not doing better with your money. I understand those feelings. And a lot of people have them, so you're not alone in feeling them. I want to reassure you of that. So there's an exact formula that I personally followed to master my money and build a net worth of millions. And it's the formula that my clients use to pay off staggering amounts of debt. I'm talking like 35,000, 50,000 in 6 months, and massively increase their net worth. So I hope you're ready to learn and discover the financial dignity formula. So the first piece to this formula is to develop a positive relationship with your money. When I say this to some people, they're like, wait a minute, I have a relationship with my money? Like, money's not a person. Here's the thing. You are interacting with money pretty much every day. You're spending money, you're saving money, you're managing money, you're earning money. Rarely a day goes by that you have zero interactions with money, whether you're aware of it or not, right? There's money coming into your bank, there's money coming out of your bank, there's charges being put on the credit card. You are interacting with your money every single day. And you will be doing this pretty much until the day that you die, right? It's kind of like food. You have a relationship with food. You interact with food every day. You're eating food every day, and you're going to do that for the rest of your life, right? We understand that if we have a dysfunctional relationship with food, that our health is not going to be in a good state, right? It's the same thing with your money. If we don't have a good relationship with our money, we are going to be in a state of dysfunction with our finances. And here's the thing that most financial pros are saying. If you go to a financial planner, if you go to a CPA, if you read some of the personal finance books out there, essentially what they're going to say is, if you don't like the results that you're getting with your personal finances, then you need to change your actions. Let me give you my 7-point plan for all the things that you need to do. Just fill out this handy checklist, and you also will receive financial prosperity, right? So you just follow this checklist and everything will be great. Here's the problem with that. There are a lot of things that affect your actions. And in fact, there's a whole chain of things that happen before you ever take an action. Typically, as human beings, we take actions to increase our pleasure or decrease our pain. And those things are driven by our emotions. And yet, many financial professionals are telling their clients, just leave emotion out of the financial decision-making process. Just make the logical financial decision, right? You've probably heard this. I have had financial pros say this to me. Leave emotion out of the decision. Here's the problem with that. The moment of decision happens in the same part of your brain that processes emotion. So they're literally asking you to do something that's physically impossible. Emotion is involved in all of our decisions, not just our financial ones. So this isn't about shutting off your emotions or leaving your emotions at the door when you deal with your finances. This is about developing emotional intelligence around your money. So when I talk about developing a positive relationship with your money, it really involves looking at your thoughts, your words, and your emotions around your money. Because these thoughts, words, and emotions drive your actions with your personal finances. So this is why you might have read a book or taken a course about personal finance or money management, and you haven't been able to follow through on the 7 easy steps or the checklist of 10 things to do. And that's frustrating because we can see that some other people have gotten results with that checklist, right? Certainly the person who is selling you that system is like, hey, this worked for me. It can work for you too. Well, for some reason, that also aligned with them emotionally, those particular steps, right? They were in emotional alignment with taking those steps. And it translated into positive results in their finances. We all have different memories about money, whether things that our parents said, different interactions and situations that happened with money that made a deep and lasting impression on us. And those things continue to affect our relationship with our money. So yes, there are external steps that we need to take, but if we don't deal with the root cause of why we're doing what we're doing, we're going to continue to repeat those dysfunctional patterns. And so this is really about not fixing symptoms. It's about getting to the root cause. Because if we don't have a positive relationship with our money, we're going to waste time and energy trying to fix the external symptoms. And if we don't heal that root cause, we're going to find ourselves continuing to repeat negative patterns. And then what do? We beat ourselves up. We say, like, I'm a failure. I can't do this. I'm not good with money. I'm not a saver, right? And then we are basically reinforcing all of those negative things. But if we fix our relationship with money and we heal it, what happens is the external actions become so much easier. And in fact, my clients have said, this is actually easier than I thought it was going to be. Like, my results are coming way faster than I imagined, because once we can identify those root issues, and sometimes just becoming conscious of what those issues are, then it means we can re-examine those beliefs and those behavior patterns, and we can move towards something more positive. So this is why you might have tried other programs in the past to fix your money problems, and those changes didn't last. It's not that there's something wrong with you. It's not. But this is like someone who has an issue with emotional eating trying to fix their problem by reading a nutrition book, right? We can see that that doesn't work. And the same thing is present in our finances. So I want you to meet my client, Betsy. Betsy is a small business owner with variable income. She grew up thinking that math was hard, and so was money management. She doubted both her ability to make money in her business and to manage it. Betsy lost sleep worrying about her finances, and she would actually work herself up into full-blown panic attacks over it. I showed Betsy that personal and business financial management, it doesn't have to be scary or hard. I gave her the tools that she needed to heal her relationship with money. The result, her money anxiety attacks are completely gone. She feels empowered and in control of her money, both in her personal finances and in her business finances. And she's got a positive relationship with her money now. And that's really what it's all about. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. How is your current relationship with money? Could it use some improvements? Would you say that it's positive? All right, so the second piece to the formula is to create a personalized prosperity plan. Most traditional budgets don't work in the long term. And here's why. Most budgets are like a crash diet. They're very restrictive. They're not personalized. And it's hard to stick with that for the long term. And one of the things I tell people is that in my world, there is no financial keto here. What do I mean by that, right? If most people think of keto, it's like, I can't have any carbs, like no bread, no sugar, no ice cream, no birthday cake, no fun. That's why I could never do keto, just as a little side note. But restriction actually invites us to rebel against it. That's why budgets don't work in the long haul. I used to help facilitate a financial class at my church years and years ago. And I would see that, people who are really gung-ho about this, they would do good for a certain period of time, and then they'd fall off the wagon, right? Like 6 months later, 12 months later, 18 months later, they would fall off the wagon. They would come to me for coaching and they're like, hey, Christine, I was in that class. Remember we met and I did good for like 12 months, but now I'm actually worse off than when I started. I'm like, whoa, what is going on here? I thought this budgeting stuff was supposed to work. When we're focused on deprivation versus prosperity, it's rarely sustainable. If I tell you, you can't have any carbs, what are you thinking about? Carbs. At least I am. The few times that I have gone on a diet that restricted carbs, all I could think about was like macaroni and cheese, ice cream, soft pretzels, dipped in beer cheese, right? I'm thinking of like all these things I'm not allowed to have. Well, what if we focused on something that's more sustainable? What if we focus on teaching you how you're supposed to live life from this point going forward? Because here's the problem with this budget mentality. People go from being completely out of control and completely clueless about their finances to being hyper-focused and super controlling of their finances. Even if you accomplish financial progress using something very controlled and restrictive, let's just say your goal was to pay off all your debt, right? Pay off all your credit card debt. And so you got really crazy and you did away with all the fun stuff and you just buckled down, and for a year, then you paid it all off. Well, what happens now? Because the only two things you know are complete chaos or complete micromanagement. Neither of those two things is actually healthy, right? Neither of those two things is healthy, either when we're looking at your finances or your food. So I liken my approach to this as like the Mediterranean diet of money. You can have some wine, you can have some cheese and some chocolate and some bread, right? But we are doing 80% of the time, we are doing good, healthy things, but there's still room for fun. And that's really what a prosperity plan is all about. It makes sure that, yes, most of what we are doing is healthy and moving towards our goals. And we also have some room for fun. Because what this is teaching us is something that is sustainable and it's a way of life. Being on a prosperity plan is not something we do for a short period of time. I have been doing prosperity plans for myself for over 10 years. The other reason why traditional budgets typically don't work is that they are cookie cutter versus customized. There might be, a list of percentages that tells you, okay, if you're a family of 4, you should be spending X amount on food, or you should spend 10% of your take-home pay on groceries and eating out. And it gives you this, this layout of this is how your spending should look like. Well, the problem with that is all of us are different. On the live, we've got about a dozen people, and some of you are younger couples with kids in grade school and middle school. Some of you are empty nesters that are moving into retirement. Some of you are single, some of you are married. And so if I lay out this approach that says everyone should be spending 10% of their take-home pay on food, and you should be spending 20% on your housing, that doesn't work, right? And you can feel like I have to adjust my life to fit inside this cookie cutter, rather than saying, how can we use money to support the life we have and the direction that our life is going? So this is why all of my plans that I create for my clients are customized, and it's based off of the things that they want and the things that are a part of their lives. So rather than a restrictive budget, I give my clients a spending plan that they can live with. So when I'm talking about a prosperity plan, I'm also talking about something that is more expansive than just your income and your spending. Most traditional budgets basically say, here's your income, here's all the things you're spending on. Is there anything left, right? A prosperity plan incorporates more than that. It encompasses your income, your spending, your saving, your debt reduction, and your long-term goals. It's much more holistic. But what happens if you don't have a plan? And here's what I see my clients experiencing, right? They're making all this money, and yes, they're buying things. Yes, they're doing things for their family, but they've got these major goals that they feel like they're neglecting. And if you don't have a plan, it's like going on a road trip without any destination in mind. You can't be mad at the car for not getting you where you want to go, or for getting you lost when you don't put a destination into the GPS, right? If you just packed up the car and started wandering around, it would be silly to get mad at the car for not taking you where you wanted to go if you didn't plug a destination in. And essentially, that's what a prosperity plan does. It says, okay, here is the destination we want to get to. And that shows us the things that we need to be doing in our finances in order to accomplish that. So if you're working hard for your money, it should be working hard for you. But if you don't tell your money what to do, you're going to wonder where it went. Your money wants to be proactively managed. So, is your money working as hard for you as you are for it? And would you like a prosperity plan instead of a budget? I certainly hope you said yes. All right, the third piece to the formula is debt mastery. So, unlike some money gurus, I'm not going to jump out of the bushes with a huge pair of scissors and cut up your credit cards. Because the problem isn't the payment method. Honestly, it's your behavior with it. And you're an adult. You can decide for yourself whether or not you can handle a credit card in a responsible manner or not. But here's the thing. You're an adult, and it's up to you to decide if and when you want to use debt. I often say that debt is like a chef's knife, right? You can take that chef's knife and chop up some vegetables and make an amazing stir fry. But you have to be careful with that knife, right? You have to be careful so you don't cut off a fingertip. And you certainly wouldn't want to run down the hallway with a chef's knife, right? Because it can be dangerous. We want to be careful with it. That's my philosophy about debt. If we use it in moderation, very mindfully, it can help us. But if we don't use it wisely, it can hurt us. The biggest problem with debt is that it robs you of your income. And if you have a lot of credit cards, student loan payments, etc., you know this, right? As soon as your income comes in, there are already bills waiting to take it right back out of your account. And income is your largest wealth building asset. This is why debt can be a problem, because it's basically eroding our income before we even have a chance to do anything with it. So for many of my clients, this is actually a pretty big priority, is to get the debt to a place where it's not stressing them out, either financially or emotionally. So you need to decide the level of debt that you are comfortable carrying. And for everyone, it's different. So I want you to meet my clients, Doug and Joanne. When they first came to work with me, they were so stressed out about money. They were arguing constantly. They had high interest debt on multiple credit cards. They had no money in savings. So of course, that meant they would have to borrow money from Joanne's mother when unexpected bills came in, which caused more stress and fighting. But after working with me, Doug and Joanne, they paid off $22,000 in credit card debt. They improved their marriage and their communication. And 4 years later, they are still sticking to their prosperity plan, which is amazing. And, you know, when I shared about Doug and Joanne and Betsy, these are clients who have been through my program 3, 4, 5 years ago and have kept their results. And that's very important. But my current clients are completely crushing it. It's insane. These are 2 clients that have just graduated out of my 6-month coaching program. J and C, who want to remain anonymous, paid off $51,000 in debt. And that included her $35,000 student loan debt. And they improved their monthly cash flow by $1,500 because they paid off that debt. And my clients, Liz and Jeremy, paid off $50,000 in debt in 6 months, and they improved their monthly cash flow by $6,483 a month. Like, you guys, that's insane, right? Now, these are very high income couples. Just gonna tell you that, they're in the 400 grand a year range. So obviously higher income means more muscle that we can put behind this debt, but it is totally possible to make this kind of traction in a short period of time. So I want you to think about this. How much of your income is going towards debt payments every month? And what would you do with that money instead? I mean, could you imagine having $1,500 back in your pocket every month, or like Liz and Jeremy, almost $6,500 back in your pocket every month? You could do some pretty awesome stuff with that money, right? All right, so the fourth piece to this formula is emotionally charged savings. Many financial pros will tell you that you need to exercise your willpower in order to save and invest money. But here's the problem with willpower. You only have a finite amount of willpower, and multiple sources drain it throughout the day. So it's not reliable. This is why willpower doesn't work for most people. So if you think about it, if you had a taxing day, right? You had to exercise your willpower so that you didn't flip somebody the bird in traffic, and you didn't backtalk your boss, and you didn't yell at your kid for leaving their clothes on the floor, right? You exercised your willpower so you could behave properly. But at the end of the day, and your willpower is all worn down, like, that's the time when it's really easy to do things like hop on Amazon and put a bunch of stuff in your cart that you don't really need, or to tuck into that pint of Ben and Jerry's. This is why I don't want my clients relying on willpower to save. There is a much better alternative. And this is an emotional charge. Because here's the thing. If you are excited about something, you don't need willpower to motivate yourself. I show my clients how to use both positive and negative emotion to create motivation that helps them to exceed their goals. And this pretty much guarantees that they're going to get what they want, right? If you think about the last time you were excited about something, you made sure you got it, right? Whether you were excited about a vacation or, buying a certain car or whatever, right? If you were all hyped up and excited about it and you had that good positive emotion, you made it happen. And the good news is we can use this same thing for things that don't seem quite so sexy to save up for. Things like your emergency fund and your retirement. So this is something I show my clients how to do. It's a detailed process, so I can't, that's like a whole nother masterclass. But we go through this process of using this positive and negative motivation to supercharge their goals so that they actually accomplish them, especially those long-term ones where it feels like you're having a hard time getting yourself motivated, but we don't rely on willpower. So what is it costing you to do nothing when it comes to your personal finances? Well, we just talked about those monthly debt payments, and if there's one action that you take away from today that you haven't done, tally up all those debt payments that you pay out every month and see what that is. That's what it's costing you to do nothing. And here's the other thing. If you don't have money saved up for emergencies and those occasional expenses, and you have to put those on a credit card, the average credit card rate is 15+%. Right? So you might as well just add 15% to those types of expenses. If money is a source of friction in your relationship, right? We know money is either the first or the second cause of divorce in almost all cases. You know, it's rare that money is not a factor in divorce. So if you've got a relatively uncontested divorce, maybe you're going to spend $5,000, but I've seen people spend a lot more than that. Bankruptcy, you know, it's going to cost you money to file it, and then you've got that shame hanging over you, right? You've got that stigma of bankruptcy on your credit report. And of course, if your finances are causing you anxiety, stress, and lost sleep, like, how do we even put a price tag on that? You know, it wasn't until I was on the other side of my mess and was well on the road to healing my finances that I even realized how much stress I was under when my finances were a mess. It was crazy. So here is the old formula. And I know because I did it. I ignored the problem. I thought that more income would fix it. I didn't have any plan, and I had a lot of negative beliefs about money. And the results were definitely not positive. The financial dignity formula is that we have a positive relationship with our money. We have a personalized prosperity plan. We have debt mastery, and we have emotionally charged saving. And that's what equals success. So if you want to see it in the formula version, financial dignity equals your relationship with money, plus your prosperity plan, plus debt mastery, plus emotionally charged savings, times I. So what is that fifth element of our formula? And you might be wondering if this formula could even work for you. Well, let's find out. The fifth element is investing in your preferred financial destination. Every single one of my clients has invested in themselves. They've invested time, energy, and yes, money into moving towards their preferred financial destination. They've decided to make their personal finances a priority. Because once you put this focus on it for a short period of time, then it's going to start to become second nature, right? So if we think about moving from eating a bunch of junk food to switching over to something like the Mediterranean diet, where we eat lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, healthy fats, healthy proteins. Yes, we have our splurges of reasonably, reasonably portioned chocolate, red wine, etc. Once we have experienced that and we've focused on learning that for a period of time, then it just becomes the way that we live and the way that we operate. And we don't have to spend a ton of time or energy to keep things going. But if we want to turn this ship around, so to speak, right? If your think of your personal finances like a cruise ship, and it's like you've been cruising at warp speed in one direction for a long period of time. The first thing you got to do is you got to stop, right? And then you've got to turn around and you've got to start going a different direction. In order to do that in your finances, we're going to have to put some focus on them. We're going to have to invest some time, some energy, and yes, even some money into fixing it. You know, one of the things that is part of the customized plan is deciding on the pace. How fast do you want to get there? I have found that sprinting for a long period of time ends in burnout. So one of the things that I do is I help you build in breaks that serve as rest periods to refresh you and to keep you on track. And sometimes my clients are surprised where I'm like, hey, let's take a break this month. And instead of putting that $1,000 towards your debt payoff, why don't you go do something fun with at least part of that money? They're like, but we haven't, like, we're not done yet. Like we haven't arrived yet. Yes, I am teaching you how to build something that's sustainable, right? And here's the thing. The most beautiful thing is when my clients graduate out of their 6-month coaching, they have a roadmap for continued success. Even if they haven't accomplished everything in that 6-month time period, which, you know, depending on where things are in your finances, a lot of people, you know, you're not 100% finished. You've spent the last 16 years getting into your financial mess. You're probably not going to completely clean everything up in 6 months, but you've got a roadmap for continued success and you know what the path looks like. Now, you could do this yourself, right? You could. But with the help of a financial dignity coach, you can collapse time. What do I mean by this? You can achieve results faster because you don't have to figure out by trial and error what works, right? So if you had to go out there and you said, well, Christine, I know you can help me with this, but I'm going to do this by myself. I can figure it out. You could go out there and listen to a bunch of podcasts and read a bunch of books and maybe take some courses, and you could figure it out. But it's probably going to take you a lot more time than if you have someone that says, I have worked with hundreds of individuals. I know exactly what works. And when you come to me with a problem, I know exactly the right tool to give to you. The other thing is that it reduces effort. I have discovered the simplest, easiest, and most effective ways to achieve results in all areas of personal finance. I am not looking for the hardest way, right? There's a lot of different ways to pay off debt. There's many different ways to get you mindful about managing your spending. My goal is to find the most emotionally satisfying, most effective methods to achieve results. So what is going to happen is you're going to see accelerated progress. And this is because I identify and help you remove the mindset blocks that have been holding you back. And I think this is a very key point because a lot of times people have blind spots about what those emotional issues are, what those mindset blocks are. The analogy I like to use is that you can't read the label from inside the bottle. You are too close to it to even see it, right? So if you imagine yourself being inside of a wine bottle or a bourbon bottle, for those of you who like to drink bourbon, or maybe it's just a sparkling water bottle, right? If you're inside of the bottle, you can't read the label that's on the outside. But someone who is standing across from you can read it perfectly. And that's exactly what a good coach does. they can see things clearly because you're too close to the problem to even read it. The other thing is you're going to increase your wisdom, right? This isn't just about financial strategy and information. It's about knowing how to apply it and how to embody it. So you're going to learn from someone who has the results that you want. My husband and I are multimillionaires. We are 100% debt free. You're learning from someone who is there at the finish line. So I know all the steps to get there, and I have helped so many people come across this line. It's almost like the moving sidewalk at an airport. So if you know what that is, right? It's basically like this big long conveyor belt that people walk on. They're walking the same direction that the belt is moving. And because the belt is moving under you at the same direction that you are walking, you can walk at a very leisurely pace and cover a lot of ground. And I had this epiphany the last time I was at the airport. I was pulling my suitcase behind me. I got onto the moving sidewalk, and I was walking with a very leisurely, flowy pace. I was not power walking. I was just kind of gliding through the airport. And I noticed that there was a woman who was not on the moving sidewalk. She was next to it. She was pulling her bags. She was huffing and puffing and power walking, maybe because she wanted the exercise. But I noticed almost effortlessly, I just glided right past her. And, I was way far ahead of her by the time I got off the moving sidewalk. That's essentially what a coach helps you accomplish. They help you accomplish so much more ground than you could cover on your own because of all these things that I talked about. We know all the shortcuts. So now you have a choice. Let's chat. Do you stay in your money mess and nothing changes, or do you raise your hand and say, I'd like some help, please? Show me the way to the other side. If you want to talk to someone who is compassionate and non-judgmental and truly wants to help you succeed, then I would love for you to schedule a free call with me. So here's what the call is about and what's going to happen. We're going to hop on the phone for about 15 to 20 minutes. And on this session, we're going to get really clear on three things. We are going to diagnose exactly where you are right now, doing an assessment to figure out what's not working and specifically why it's not working. Number two, we're going to get clear on your desired outcomes. And then we're going to decide if my personalized solution is a fit for you. Not some cookie cutter approach that everyone else is using, but the exact strategies that you specifically need. So this is going to be extremely valuable, and it's going to leave you feeling relieved and knowing the actions that you need to move forward. And there's absolutely no cost to this. So why would I do this? Why would I do this for you? Like, we might be strangers, we might be friends. Well, I know what it's like to be feeling anxious and overwhelmed and embarrassed about money. And I want to give you hope. Plus, I know that you might want my guidance on your journey to your preferred financial future. Now, I know this is a sensitive situation. This is completely confidential. But someone who isn't emotionally attached to your finances and having that opinion can be extremely valuable, and it can feel very liberating. And I promise, not going to judge you at all, because I know what it feels like to be struggling financially. I mean, I've coached clients with 18 credit cards and bankruptcy in their past. So nothing you do or say is going to shock me, I promise. And here's the thing. I'm going to show you how to leave all of that behind you for good. So if you want to chat, here's the link. It's christineluken.com/chat. Actually, I think it's /apply. We better change that. It's actually /apply. And you will get a free gift, I promise. So even if we're not a good fit to work together, I'm going to make sure that you have some tools to start making progress towards your financial dignity. So if you're on live, don't worry. I will be sending you the link afterwards, but I would love for us to chat and set up a time to talk and give you some guidance so that you can start feeling better about your money right now.